Hi guys, welcome to our very first Chem tutorial. This is 0.1, and in this video we're going to learn a little bit more about the flipped chemistry classroom and how class in B222 operates. So let's start by talking about the definition of the flipped classroom. So the flipped classroom started several years ago by these two math teachers, and they essentially what they did is they took all of their instruction and they moved it outside of the class time. They moved it for the students to do as homework. They watched their video lectures, and in class they did practice and application-based activities. So the flipped classroom is basically taking direct instruction outside, taking practice and application inside the classroom. So how does that look in our class? Well, there are five main aspects of, or five main pieces of learning new content, okay? And so I listed these five different pieces of learning content in red or orange, whatever that color is. And the first piece to learning anything new is to acquire the content. So the first step is called the content acquisition, which means how are you going to get the content. The second thing is once you get the content, most students need some form of teacher review where they go over the material with the guidance of a teacher. In this step 2, students are able to ask questions, and the teacher is able to model correct problem solving. Step 3 is when we work in small groups and we practice the skills that we learned in the content. Step 4 is when the student independently works through problems to show that the student has mastered or understands the concept. And the last step, step 5, is when the students who have all demonstrated that they can master the concepts, they work together collaboratively, meaning together as a group, on application-based assignments or work. So how these 5 different pieces look in our class is listed in the off-white color underneath. So I'm going to walk you through each of these 5 steps, how we do each of these 5 steps in class, and how you can access these materials. So the first step is content. How do you acquire content in our class? You acquire the content through watching a Chem tutorial, and usually they're between 13 and 15 minutes long. They're videos that you watch at home, and you take notes while you watch it at home. Notes, except for this very first unit, notes will always be provided for you, and then you can take them home with you and write on them. It's important you keep them all collected in some sort of binder to have easy access to, because this is essentially your textbook for this class. After you watch the Chem tutorial and you take notes, then you complete a Check for Understanding quiz, which I've abbreviated as C4U. So your Check for Understanding quiz does exactly that. It checks to make sure you understand the concepts of the video. And I'll talk about that here in a second. But you'll take your quiz, and the quiz itself is actually a grade in the gradebook. The notes themselves are checked by me the next day, but they are not actually a grade in the gradebook. So let's talk about where do you watch these videos, how do you get the notes, and where do you access the quiz. Well, we're going to go to my website to access this information. My website is listed as thisischem.weebly.com. So as you can see, I'm typing it up here into the search bar. This is Chem. Chem is not like short for my name, it's short for chemistry. And then Weebly.com is just the site where I host all of my materials for the class. So anytime you need to access anything for my class, you'll go to this website, thisischem.weebly.com. And this page will show up. This button right here can take you to my YouTube channel. On my YouTube channel is where I host all of my videos. Now YouTube you may not be able to access at school, but at home you're able to come here and then you're able to watch any of the videos on my YouTube channel. Now if you want to watch it from my class website, let me just kind of orient you here. This is the home page. If you scroll downward, I have a news feed that I post anything new, reminders of due dates, changes in assignments, things like that. I will post on this page almost daily, so you'll want to check that almost every day that you walk into class to see what those assignments are. So where do you access the videos? Well, if you hover over the fall tab, you'll see a list of units for the fall. The first one that we're on right now is Unit 0, that's safety. So you'll click on that safety tab. and then this is my safety page, and this "Don't Be Like Carol" is actually a really bad joke. And if you look at the sign in black on my back wall next to my back door and you read that, then you'll get the bad joke. So here's unit safety. So if you want to watch any of the videos, you can just click on any of these tabs right here. They're called buttons, and this button will allow you to watch the video. Now, when you click on this to watch the video, you can always have the option of downloading the video. So once you click on this, the video will pop open on your screen, and if you see a downward arrow, if you hover over the screen and you see a downward arrow, that will allow you to download the video. Why is that helpful? Well, if you're at a tennis tournament and you're traveling, or a football game and you're traveling, and you don't have internet on your laptop but you need to watch the videos, then you can download them prior to leaving school. Under complete assignments, you'll be able to download the notes. Now remember, for this particular unit, I don't have any notes for you, but normally you can click here and download those notes. So let's say you watched 0.1 and you took notes on it, and now you're ready to complete the Check for Understanding quiz. You're going to click this red link right here that's going to take you for the Check for Understanding quiz for the very first video. This link will direct you to a Google form where you can fill out your name, your first name, your last name, your student ID number, and then it'll ask you usually between 5 and 10 questions based upon the video. Step 2. Once you have done the Check for Understanding quiz and taken notes at home, the next day you'll come to school and I will pull up on the board, I'll pull up all the answers to the Check for Understanding quiz. And it will show me via pie charts how many students got question 1 right and how many students got question 2 right, and so on and so forth. That way I'll be able to review any questions that you guys did poorly on as a whole class. And then the Check for Understanding quiz will also have an option, a place for you to ask me questions, and I can also project that on the board and answer them as I go through them. Any days that we don't have a video due, I call those non-Check for Understanding days, then I will usually try and solve a problem on the board just to model it for you. This teacher review, I call that big group because we're all together as a big group, but that will usually last between 5 and 10 minutes at the very beginning of the class period. Okay, our third part is the small group practice. So how that works. In a small group practice, you have to work with one person that you're seated at your desk, okay, and that's going to be called your peer group. So if there's 4 people at your table, you'll pair up with one of those people at your table, and that will be your peer group. The group of 4, that's called your small group. So in a peer group, you and your partner will go on to my website and you will open up the peer group challenge for that particular video that you just watched. So if you just watched video 0.1, then you'll do the peer group challenge for video 0.1. Once you've completed the peer group challenge, then you bring your work to me, and I actually sit there and I visually go over all the problems. I'll mark anything that's incorrect, and then your peer group, you and your partner, will have to sit there and correct it. So technically it's a completion grade, and so I put it in the grade book as 100 if you've completed it all, but it has to all be correct. So I'll continually send you and your partner back to your group until your answers are all correct. So let me show you where you can access that peer group challenge. If you go back to my website, thisischem.weebly.com, and you go to the fall and you click our safety unit, which is the unit we're on right now, then you'll see under number 3 here it says peer group challenges, and it says in class. The peer group challenges cannot be done outside of class. They must be done with your partner in class. So what I have here, I have the instructions to each of the challenges. So some of these challenges will have other pieces that you need to complete, and so some of those pieces will be located in the classroom. If I have any additional materials or additional pieces that you need to complete your challenge, it will usually be located at the very small bookshelf near the front of the classroom. Okay, so here are the instructions for your very first peer group challenge. If you want to, you can always download any of these documents onto your computer by hovering over the arrow down button. So this is what I was talking about last time when I said you can download the videos just like this. You can hit download and it will download to your desktop. Our fourth piece is the independent mastery piece, and this is when you show me that you can independently understand, comprehend, and are able to apply the concepts you've learned thus far. The way we do step 4 is through a mastery quiz. So we use a online quizzing system called Brain Genie. You may have heard of it before. Brain Genie has all of the content that you're supposed to know for that unit separated by learning objective. So when you log into Brain Genie and you click on the quiz you're supposed to take, you can see all of the objectives you're supposed to master. You have to have 70% of your problems correct in each learning objective in order to have mastered the quiz. I'll do a separate tutorial on how to access Brain Genie and how to use Brain Genie. This particular unit, for unit safety, we don't have a mastery quiz, so we're actually going to skip this step, this particular unit. But in unit 1, we will actually do the mastery quiz, so I'll walk you through that later. I do want to mention, though, if you do get less than 70% of your problems correct, then you go through a remediation process. And remediation just means relearning or grasping things that you did not learn the first time. And so the remediation process, what that looks like is after you've completed a quiz and you have not passed that quiz, you will attend a small group tutoring session. And you can actually attend a small group tutoring session at any time throughout our entire unit, but you're required to attend it if you don't pass the quiz. What a small group tutoring looks like is I take a poll of the classroom and I find out what students are struggling in what areas. And then I say I'm going to have a small group tutoring over a particular topic. If you have struggled in that topic or if you failed your mastery quiz on that topic, then you'll attend that small group tutoring session. Our small group tutorings are held in the 2 desks. They're really long lab desks over on the right-hand side of our classroom, right underneath our goggles and aprons. So that's where we do small group tutoring. We have whiteboards and markers to use to kind of reteach. After you attend the small group tutoring, then you have a remediation activity. I wrote down proof, work out 2 problems, but that's actually not supposed to be there. It's supposed to say remediation activity. You choose one remediation activity to do, and once you've completed that remediation activity and it's been checked off by me, you're allowed to continue on to step 5. You cannot continue on to step 5 until you have gone through the remediation program or passed your mastery quiz. The 5th part of this is a collaborative application-based assignment. And this is usually, it's a lab or a series of labs. It can also be a very small project that you do in class, but usually it's either a lab or a project. And these are much more difficult than the stuff that you've been previously doing. And the purpose is that we want to decontextualize your learning. That big phrase, what that means is we want to take what you learned out of context and apply it in a different scenario. So many times students learn how to solve a problem one way. And if I present them the same type of problem but set up differently, they have no idea how to solve it. So the purpose of this 5th step is to learn how to apply what you've learned to different scenarios that may not all look alike. Lastly, just some steps on some things that can make watching your videos work well to be successful is to, number 1, find a quiet place. Preferably, put headphones in to limit your distractions, especially if you're in a big household or a noisy household. You really need to find a place where no one can get to you for about 15 to 20 minutes so you can sit down and watch your video. Remember to power down all your other devices. If you're on your phone and you're texting or playing games or looking at Facebook, then you're really not understanding the content. And then also take your time watching the video. So don't watch it at midnight or 2 in the morning or 6:45 right before first period. Be sure to use the feature that I give you to learn at your own pace. With the exception of the first 2 units, I will give you all of your videos a week in advance, a week before they're due. All the videos will be given to you a week before they're due. That way it'll give you time to really learn at your own pace, to watch the videos and understand them. Take thorough notes, too, to determine your understanding and refer to it later. Students who have thorough notes have a lot more to refer to than students who don't take notes. And then when I'm going through a video and I tell you to stop the video and try this problem on your own, really try and do that. And then you can play it afterward to see if you got it right. And that's it for our 0.1 video. This is Mrs. Millsap over and out.